Hey everyone, it's Justin again, and welcome to the third help video from your Mia's Puzzle Practice activity. In this help video, we'll be going over how to write the slope-intercept form equation for the list of coordinates from number 3, shown on screen here. Let's get into it. In order to write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form, you need two things, the slope and the y-intercept. Let's start with the slope. Remember that at its core, the slope is the change in y over the change in x from one point to the next. In a list of coordinates like this, we could just compare the x and y values from one point to the next. So from the first point to the second, x goes from -1 to 0, which is an increase of 1. And y goes from -5 to -4, which is also an increase of 1. If we take this change in x and change in y, it makes a slope of 1 over 1, which is just 1. However, we should double check the rest of the coordinates too to make sure that there is a constant rate of change and that these points are linear. Even if the change in x and y aren't both 1, the slope still needs to simplify to 1 for these points to all be linear. And sure enough, the change in y over the change in x consistently simplifies to 1. Since these points have a constant rate of change, they are linear. That means I can continue with writing the equation of the line. Now that we know that this is linear and we have the slope, all we need is the y-intercept. How can I recognize the y-intercept as a coordinate? The y-intercept is always the point that has an x-coordinate of 0. That means that this point is the y-intercept here, where x is 0 and y is -4. So the y-intercept is -4. All that's left to do is put it all together. I'll take my slope-intercept equation, substitute 1 for m, and -4 for b. This isn't quite the best final answer, though. We have an operation and a sign right next to each other, which is bad math grammar, so we should just rewrite that as -4 instead. And although it's not wrong, we don't generally write a 1 in front of a variable like 1x. Instead, we can write this as just x. Now that is our final answer. That's all for this help video. Keep up the great work on the rest of the activity.